Hi, welcome to this video where I'm going to try and give a better idea on how to join or how to become a registered optometrist in the UK if you're an international if you're an international optometrist. Forgive me. So you need to go to the College of Optometrists website, and the links will be in the description for this video. And you need to visit the GOC website before you even start. Now, the GOC is the General Optical Council, and they are the ones that register optometrists in the UK. So when you go to registration, you click the registration button and you go to this register from overseas. And if you're from the European Economic Area, then that's one, and international is the other. And then you've got one for international dispensing opticians. So you click the international optometrists, and there are eligibility requirements. So you need to check whether you meet the requirements or not, and you have to complete the qualifications check. If you don't pass the qualification check, then you're not getting in. Follow the step-by-step process. You've got to have 3 years optometry training, and certainly I'm aware of optometrists who have registered in the UK from India, Nigeria, Ghana, and many other countries have similar equivalent registrations. You have to be legally qualified to practice optometry in a country outside of the UK. So that's typically your home country. And you've been in practice for 1 year within the last 10. You're registered with a regulatory body, and then you've got to do this IELTS. You need to score a minimum of 7 for that. And if your English is a little bit weak, then I would definitely watch some of the YouTube videos on how to improve your English, because it's required in order to get on. But also, when you get to the actual scheme for registration that the college run, you need to be able to communicate properly. You have to complete the self-assessment form, and you've done the qualification checks. Follow the processes that they've given. So you have a scrutiny fee of £125, and this is as of the 9th of June 2024. You got £450 for the assessment of the application, and then £200 for the interview. So you're paying £775. One of the things that people are sometimes struggling is with what sort of things are going to come up in the interview. And if there's demand, I can potentially put a video together to give an idea of the sorts of things that come up. I've seen some people writing that they know what the exam, what the interview questions are going to be, and that is a scam. There is no way that anyone knows in advance what the interview questions are going to be, but they're based on if you saw a patient with this, what would you do? If you saw a patient with Y, what would you do? So they're designed to try and get a feel for, are you up to date with your knowledge? So once you've completed it, you've got the scrutiny of the application to ensure that it meets the requirements, and you've provided the necessary documents. 28 days for the review, and then if you then you get into the stage 2 part, where you have to complete the resident applications. Our non-UK assessors will compare your qualifications and experience against the UK standards of competence. They will assess whether these are equivalent to our stage 1 and stage 2 competencies and minimum patient experience required of a UK graduate. They'll also advise whether you can proceed to the interview or advise of rejection of your application at this stage. So understanding what our stage 1 and stage 2 competencies are is quite useful. If you're invited to an interview, that takes place virtually between you and two non-UK assessors. The interview will give you the assessors to discuss your application. The assessment will be completed within 5 months from the date the fee has been paid. If you are to proceed to the interview, you'll be required to pay the interview fee to be paid as soon as possible. And then there are some outcomes. After the interview, we'll write to advise you of the outcome. You can proceed to the scheme for registration with trailing competencies. So you might have to do some kind of university course, and then further training is adaptation courses. And they give the links for where the adaptation courses are. So, you may well have to go to a university course before you start. The ideal you want is really to hit the Proceed to College of Optometrist scheme for registration. So that effectively is the College of Optometrist scheme for registration. My suggestion would be that when you're preparing, you actually understand what the scheme for registration is, and so that when they're asking you questions, you've got an idea of the sorts of things they could ask you. Because what you don't want to do is not be able to hit that point there, which is the scheme for registration. Adaptation courses and trialing competencies and all these things will take extra time. And so preparation is really key. If you're required to complete any further training, this will be at your cost. And university courses are not low cost. And then once you start the scheme for registration, effectively, you will have a certain period of time to complete the scheme for registration. It's 2 years and 3 months. Most international optometrists believe they'll be able to do it much quicker, and they are often misunderstanding the requirements of the scheme. But those are the bits that you've got to do. It takes place via Microsoft Teams. So one thing I would definitely suggest is make sure you know how to use Microsoft Teams and you have reliable internet. Reread your application and supporting documents to be prepared to discuss and provide further details. So, following recommendations, recommended to complete the scheme for registration, and this is the one that you want. You want to hit that standard. The trailing competencies, if you have to do them, you have to do them. And if you do not meet all of the stage 1 competencies, you'll be required to take further training. Please note, if any further education is required, the assessors will specifically identify what you need to do, or an adaptation course once you complete the scheme for registration. And once you've completed the scheme for registration, then obviously you're able to register as a qualified optometrist. So I hope that's helpful just as an overview to give you an idea of what's required. There are many steps to it, and it may well be worth considering when I'm looking at this, forgive me, guidance on the interview, questions you could be asked, and there'll be some bits on YouTube and things like that, and I'll see if I can find any links to post up for that.